Hi, it's Mild Redskin Songbird, Evangeline Einstein. I'd like to share an extraordinary experience where I mapped my mind, Einstein's mind. Einstein is a scientific mind. Aristotle, Plato, Socrates are philosophical minds, vines. Human minds, vines, are susceptible to divine down the lines like Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem's mother, Audrey, the girl here at St. Francis, who is a duplicate of Gloria Steinem. What she does is she asks me for money. Say she asked me for $2, I give it to her. She asked for $4. And I wind up saying, you get nothing because you're greedy. You're being greedy. And that's the game we play. Because in Washington, when I was married to Edwin Birdsong, he performed at a poor people's rally, a song I had written, It Ain't No Fun Being a Welfare Recipient. And Gloria Steinem was there. When we left, we were on the same airplane. Gloria Steinem came from the back and gave some vitamins to Edwin and I. Someone had given her. She didn't want them. We took them. We gladly took them. Then when we got to the airport in New York, Gloria Steinem gave us a ride home. Only she didn't take us all the way home. And I wanted her to take us all the way home, but I don't think I said it. But anyway, that's what Audrey does. I'm playing Gloria Steinem apparently, and I don't take Audrey all the way home. So when Audrey, insults me by saying, you haven't done enough, I want more, and then I take back everything I've given her, that's the game we play. That's the game Gloria Steinem was playing. She didn't like men for years. And then all of a sudden she likes men and she gets married. And her husband is taken away from her. He gets sick and dies. So that's the game. She's on the divine. Steinem. Okay, let me continue. Charan Singh is my personal spiritual guide, Azur Maraji. He doesn't get involved with the mental part of Einstein vine. He just mirrors us to clear us, see us. Timothy Leary, School of Honey, Dust, Kiss My Cream of Trust. That's a divine. Eve is in, Eve the mother. Devon, U.S. Trust, is in a dustbin. Now I, double, is that DB double bubble. I did an interview with this young man, Devon, Captain Devon Gangadine, and he said he was a student of yoga, and I tried to make him a yogi, and I realized tonight that I have a habit of trying to bolster people and make them more than they are, because my mother was very beautiful and very smart, but she started to drink alcohol and it debilitated her. First of all, the laws against black people, colored people, debilitated her. The only job she could get was in a dry laundry, making 2.5 cents a shirt, or she could clean some white lady's house, which is what Aunt Mattie Sue did. Alright, so let's go here. Alright, I'm not going to sell this. I'm just going to list some of the situations you have if you have the karma to be Eve in the divine. events, that's talk and share, version. So your life is even talk and share. That's good, huh? Talk and share is even. This can come in. There's no, yeah, but I just said it was a list. Well, this is part of a list of something that would work for me in my life. The version, talk and share version of insanity. Because Gloria Steinem's mother was insane, and so was mine. And the events drove my mother insane. She wasn't wanted. This is Saint S.J. Cross S. Cross the street. Yeah, they had me crossing the street when I was 6 years old on major highway alone. That was incredibly reckless. And I knew it even as a child. Why am I out here all alone crossing this highway with all these cars coming and no babysitter, no mother? And then I crossed the street and I was in an alley. I was slipping because the rocks were slippery. And I saw this black woman coming toward me, and she bent over like she was helping me up. And I got up, and then she quickly left. As I looked around, I saw she had taken the money I had. So I had to go back down to the laundry where my mother was working and very poor, had no money. She had to give me more money that she couldn't afford. All because the lady was no lady. She was a Haiti. And that's the mindset of people in Haiti. They're thieves. And so was Hillary. Hillary and Bill matched the energy in Haiti because they steal money for the Clinton Foundation and pretend they're going to help Haiti, but they didn't do that. And Bill Clinton collected money with Bill O'Reilly and President Bush to give money to Haiti after the hurricane. And the money disappeared and the people got nothing. Van Susteren and Franklin, Billy Graham's son, Reverend Franklin Graham, and Greta Van Susteren opened an orphanage in Haiti with computers and work of the art, state-of-the-art equipment. In this nation of thieves, they're treating them like they're sweet babies because they don't realize they're there because they're Haitis. You go where your energy fits. That's why there are different areas in this world. Some are heaven. Part of England is heaven, where the royals are. So this is why I have an animation. Why talk and share? Talk and share is a cure for madness. Fritz Perls, the German psychiatrist, who helped me, my wife helped me, I had a wife at that time, helped me realize that reality lies in being present in the moment, not in your mouth moving and words coming out and you're not there. Your attention is not there. You're not one with what you're saying. And I was Freud, who realized there's a whole lot of us that is unconscious. I'll let you go. No, I'll take it. I don't know, I'm undecided right now. Okay, what else? I could do sneezy. I think I'm being like Gloria Steinem's nemesis, being greedy. I don't see a picture of sneezy. Okay, I'll go on. Oh, okay, Robin is in my ear. She wants me to do sneezy. Okay, I'll do sneezy. Robin Birdsong is my daughter. She's an amazing person. This is her here. She's kissing her nephew, Seth Ranzinger, who is also an amazing person. He was the founder of the Dara. He sat there among the haints and the demons and the devils and meditated until he had taken them all unto himself. And then he burned the karma of having all that in him by suffering, being still. For 17 years he went through that. And now he's in America. And also he was Mr. Rogers, the Presbyterian minister, who had a very intelligent show. And the finest most productive people in the culture. He had on there black opera singers, and he showed people mayors being black, and Yo-Yo Ma, the Japanese cellist, he showed with a son. So he was making cello playing accessible to people, not something up pie in the sky, so to speak. A pie in the sky is okay because pie is actually that element that fits in many situations you can use to make equations with. But in the culture, when they say pie in the sky, they're talking about something unobtainable. So Mr. Rogers made the highest, the greatest, the finest way of life attainable to people. And that's why when Seth saw himself, he didn't know he was Mr. Rogers, but we watched Mr. Rogers' show, and Seth said, I want to go to Mr. Rogers' house. I say, but Mr. Rogers doesn't, yeah, he actually does invite you to come with him into his house. He even invites you, he goes to Coco's house, the big ape, because this is a planet of the apes. And Mr. Rogers is saying, although we're apes, I don't know that he's an ape. He might be light. Some people here are from the sun. I am from the sun. So maybe Mr. Rogers, yeah, Mr. Rogers is from the sun. So he's trying to make the apes feel better about being apes and not being human yet, by saying, I'm not afraid of you. I know that you won't hurt me. You are not a wild animal. You have evolved. This is a robot, by the way. I'm not talking to the robot. I'm talking to, I'm using Mr. Rogers, talking for Mr. Rogers, but using his sentiments. So Mr. Rogers was an amazing contribution to raising the level of existence for Americans. And Saturday Night Live, which was a unfunny, secret, hating the right organization. And Eddie Murphy was on there, the so-called comedian, and he used to mock Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers didn't understand why he would do that. But he did that because the people who are jealous of such a gentle and giving and innocent, vulnerable soul as Mr. Rogers got pleasure from seeing Mr. Rogers hurt. Mr. Rogers was a very brave man. He was on Joan Rivers' show, the Tonight Show. She was sitting in for Johnny Carson, and he sang to her, "It's you I like. It's not the things you do. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like." La, 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 you know, and he went on and he sang that lovely, lovely, very sincere communication to her. And she blushed. Mr. Rogers made Joan Rivers blush. So they were both elevated as a result of that, because Joan Rivers was shown to be a person with humanity, that she felt Mr. Rogers made her feel something. And Mr. Rogers was shown to be a giant, that he could make someone as hard and callous as Joan Rivers, who says the worst things in the world about people. But and Eddie Murphy was shown to be a rock, not a steady rock, but a Neanderthal rock, like Fred Flintstone kind of rock. Just a rock, a cold-hearted monster that he would make money from Mr. Rogers, mocking the good way of life that Mr. Rogers was offering black people, mostly. So this is how our family is. My mother, Seth's sister, Seth was a saint in India, the Radhaswami line of saints. Then he appointed his sister saint when he left. Her name was Jindara Ranzinger. Now, her name at that time was Baba Jamal Singh Ji, as in Jesus Christ consciousness. And she was also General Dwight David Eisenhower. She was also Shirley Temple, who used to dance with that black dancer, Bill Robinson, who was quite an accomplished performer. That was a very high-level coupling. My sister and I used to tap dance, and it was disgusting to me because we did the same stupid steps everywhere we went, but we were used as decoration because we were pretty little girls, and we were dancing with a homosexual. So my mother likes homosexuals because she's so beautiful. All the men want to rape her and use her beauty to make themselves feel elevated in the world, such as the god of the town, Reverend Dr. Wilbur Daniels. He used my mother. They dated, and she got pregnant, and he didn't marry her. I don't even know if she told him she was pregnant. And so when I was born, I was the child, and she tried to abort me, and a bell rang. I think it turned out to be Paul McCartney ringing the bell to stop, because my mother said I stopped trying to abort you because my ears started to ring like dinner bells. So it's taken me all these years to realize that was Paul McCartney ringing the bell. Michelle, my belle, these are words that go together well, my Michelle. Okay, they sing that in French as well. Marie Antoinette, I was Michelle. I am Michelle Birdsong. That is my name. I was Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France. And they said that I said, let them eat cake. What I meant was, why deprive them of dessert? Dessert is stress. Stress is what makes you strong. And stress is what teaches you the steps to success. You overcome one thing, you struggle here, you overcome the next, you strive for that, you get stronger, stronger. If the American government and doesn't give the American black people an opportunity to struggle, they're not going to get stronger. That's why Frederick Douglass told, he was a black slave who became free, and he was a close friend of Abraham Lincoln, who is now Tony Robbins, who was my husband. I was Mary Todd Lincoln. Frederick Douglass told Lincoln, don't treat black people any different than you treat anybody else. And yet that's what's happened. And black people have gone out of control, demanding, like Audrey and Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem is the government. Audrey is the black people saying more, 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 give me more, more, more. And when LBJ signed the Civil Rights Bill, he said, we have niggas for the next 200 years, meaning it's going to give black people a little cash, and they're going to feel grateful to the Democratic Party, Democrat Party, and vote for them for the next 200 years. And it's so far it's true. Black people do vote monolithically for the demon rats. So that's enlightenment I have on that issue. Let me think, is there anything? I could go into more about Eisenhower. He sent troops into Arkansas to escort the black children who wanted to go to the white schools because they were state-of-the-art schools and their schools were crappy. And I can attest to that because my mother told me when she went to school, the principal, light-skinned Mr. Allison, used to say, you cannot be as good as a white man. You have to be better. In other words, you have to work harder than the white man to succeed because you're black. And so the black people who excelled at that time were extraordinary. They were smarter than the white people. That would be Marian Anderson, the opera singer. That was me. That would be George Washington Carver, the man who created uses for the peanut. And I'm a vegetarian. That's very helpful. He was one of my heroes. And I made a speech, and Mary McLeod Bethune, an black American educator. I'm here at St. Francis Residence for mentally challenged people. And there are people here, because I read energy, I know their past lives. Pence said, who am I and where are my people? He was talking about Eve, Marie Antoinette, Michelle Birdsong, the same person. That is my mission, to find myself and my people. I am at St. Francis Residence, and I have found Mary McLeod Bethune. She is my sister. Her name is Maria Kott, and she's a Russian-American who works here at St. Francis, and she is the head of our writing group. The writing group consists of John Milton, who wrote Paradise Lost, and Carlos Castaneda, a writer, and Bill Leader, his name is Bill Leader, and he was Saint Philip, one of Jesus Christ's disciples. So I have found my mother here, a mother. I had many mothers. We all have had many people. Billions, perhaps, years of evolving. And so Charlene Kelk is the name of my mother that I found. Yesterday I found a brother, Aaron, and he's a drummer now. Charlene, my mother, the only thing she wants is health. She has love, because when she and I see each other, we hug. One day the day I discovered she was my mother in a past life, I went to the writing group. I didn't have any money. I didn't even have money for food, even though the food here is quite cheap. Father Thomas, who runs this place, was Jesus Christ's disciple. He was also my husband. And so I went. See, the memories are gone. None of these people know who they are. I only know because I read energy. That is, I can tell by the vibration that a person gives off who they are. That their face means nothing to me. I can't tell that way. But sometimes body language does show who you are. It's the same in one life as another. So Charlene, when I got to the writing group, my mother, Charlene Kelk, gives me a $10 bill. Now, in the past, I wouldn't have taken it. When I was homeless, I would never sit on the sidewalk and beg like the other people. I just couldn't do it. And my mother taught me not. She didn't like charity either. We were poor. We were poorer than the poor. But she worked hard. She worked from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, standing on concrete, putting shirts on a dummy, and pressing a lever, and it goes around and presses it. And then another one swings into view, and then she puts a shirt on that one, and then that goes around, and that's what she did all day. And I so admire my mother that even though she was an alcoholic, and even though she had unfortunate karma in that as being the most beautiful woman in the town, being the smartest woman in the town, she was in a community of colored people many of whom hated her because she was so beautiful. That's where that campaign, the PR campaign about Clairol came from. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. That came from my mother, because our town, our family is a copy of the country, the whole country. My horoscope says your soul was made to dilate in unison with the universe. That's my family. So if you look at our family, you can tell what's going on with the country. Okay, this I'll just say this is Robin Birdsong's work. She was Dr. Seuss. It says, "You are you. Now am I. Now isn't that pleasant?" Dr. Seuss. That's understated eloquence, and that's the way. Our book, Robin and I did a book together called Sneezy the Greasy Baby Says Abigail. And she did the rhyme. It was my idea, but she did the rhyme. And all the rhymes are understated excellence like that. They're not, obvious, crass, gross. That's elegant. And she is supposed to be the Queen of England, the first black Queen of England. But and she's trained for it. I trained her to be an upper class person, because I thought we were going to have money with the album What It Is. Turned out Birdsong, my husband, cheated on me, had another baby by another woman, totally wrecked the family. So there went the prosperity that would have matched her upbringing. She was trained to be a queen, and she can't step into the vibration of it because we never had the money, and we never had the house that matched being a queen. She was Queen Victoria. She can't believe it because it's just her imagination cannot encompass the fact that she was a queen and now she's a pauper, So that's the explanation for where we are. I was Queen Elizabeth I, Virgin Queen, the Virgin Queen of England. She, again, Einstein, which I was and am, said, imagination is more important than knowledge. She doesn't have the imagination about herself that she has when she writes. Personally, she doesn't have the imagination. So Einstein also said, if you want a smart child, read them fairy tales. If you want an even smarter child, read them more fairy tales. That's what I did for Robin. I had this wonderful book of fairy tales, and I read them to her, and she's extremely intelligent. She speaks publicly, like she went to Florence to speak to some economic psychology group, and and she said to me, Robin said to me, when I was growing up, I never thought we didn't have enough money for books, because I would take them to the I hate this word, library, but it's a place where they store ideas and books. I don't know if they should be stored, buried, but or more people should be encouraged to go dig them up and read them, because Dr. Ben Carson did what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a brain surgeon. He was just as poor as we were, but his mother made them turn off the television set, him and his brother, who's now an engineer, and read books. He read Booker T. Washington, and he realized, he said, he could be anything he wanted. I wanted to be a brain surgeon because I was not read to, and I was not encouraged to read books, and I went to a crappy school. I never dreamed I could be a brain surgeon, so I wasn't a brain surgeon. But I did imitate my mother, who was crazy, and I went crazy, and I found that the psychiatrists weren't helping me. They didn't know how to fix crazy. I realized that. So I came up with a cure for crazy. It's called Talk and Share. This video explains why. It's a context for Talk and Share, when you can use it and how you can use it. It's on YouTube. I hope you'll check it out. This is Michelle Birdsong. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you for listening.